Hello, my dear friends. I hope you're all tucked into bed and ready for me to read you the story of Little Red Cap by the Brothers Grimm. Once upon a time, there was a dear little girl who was loved by everyone who looked at her, but most of all by her grandmother. There was nothing that she would not have given to the child. Once she gave her a little cap of red velvet, which suited her so well that she would never wear anything else. So she was always called Little Red Cap. One day her mother said to her, "Come, Little Red Cap, here is a piece of cake and a bottle of wine. Take them to your grandmother. She is ill and weak, and they will do her good. Set out before it gets hot, and when you are going, walk nicely and quietly and do not run off the path, or you may fall and break the bottle, and then your grandmother will get nothing. And when you go into her room, don't forget to say good morning, and don't peep into every corner before you do it." "I will take great care," said Little Red Cap to her mother, and gave her hand on it. The grandmother lived out in the woods, half a league from the village, and just as Little Red Cap entered the woods, a wolf met her. Red Cap did not know what a wicked creature he was, and was not at all afraid of him. "Good day, Little Red Cap," said he. "Thank you kindly, Wolf." "Where do you go so early, Little Red Cap?" "To my grandmother's." "And what have you got in your apron?" "Cake and wine. Yesterday was baking day, so poor sick grandmother is to have something good, to make her stronger." "Where does your grandmother live, Little Red Cap?" "A good quarter of a league farther into the woods. Her house stands under the 3 large oak trees. The nut trees are just below. You surely must know it," replied Little Red Cap. The wolf thought to himself, "What a tender young creature! What a nice plump mouthful! She will be better to eat than the old woman. I must act craftily, so as to catch them both." So he walked for a short time by the side of Little Red Cap, and then he said, "See, Little Red Cap, how pretty the flowers are. Why don't you look around? I believe, too, that you do not hear how sweetly the birds are singing. You walk gravely along as if you were going to school, while everything out here is merry and beautiful." Little Red Cap raises her eyes, and when she saw the sunbeams dancing here and there through the trees and pretty flowers growing everywhere, she thought, "I suppose I'd take grandmother a fresh nosegay. That would please her too. It is so early in the day that I shall still get there in good time." So she ran from the path into the woods to look for flowers. And whenever she picked one, she fancied that she saw a still prettier one farther on and ran after it, and so got deeper and deeper into the wood. Meanwhile, the wolf ran straight to the grandmother's house and knocked on the door. "Who's there?" "Little Red Cap," replied the wolf. "She's bringing cake and wine. Open the door." "Lift the latch," called out the grandmother. "I'm too weak, and I cannot get up." The wolf lifted the latch, and the door flew open. And without saying a word, he went straight into the grandmother's bed and devoured her. Then he put on her clothes and dressed himself in her cap, laid himself in bed, and drew the curtains. Little Red Cap, however, had been running and picking flowers, and when she gathered so many she could not carry more, she remembered her grandmother and set out on her way to her. She was surprised to find the cottage door standing open, and when she went into the room, she had such a strange feeling that she said to herself, "Oh dear, how uneasy I feel today. At other times I like being with grandmother so much." She called out, "Good morning," but received no answer, so she went to the bed and drew back the curtains. There lay the grandmother with her cap pulled far over her face, and looking very strange. "Oh, grandmother, what big ears you have!" "Better to hear you with, my child," was the reply. "But, grandmother, what big eyes you have," she said. "The better to see you with, my dear." "But, grandmother, what large hands you have." "The better to hug you with." "Oh, but grandmother, what a terrible big mouth you have." "The better to eat you with." And scarcely the wolf said this, then with one bound he was out of the bed and swallowed up Red Cap. When the wolf had appeased his appetite, he lay down in the bed and fell asleep and began to snore very loudly. The hunter was just passing the house and thought to himself, "How the old woman is snoring. I must see if she wants anything." So he went into the room, and then he came to the bed and saw the wolf lying in it. "Do I find you here, you old sinner?" said he. "I have long sought you." Then, just as he was going to fire at him, it occurred to him that the wolf might have devoured the grandmother, and that she might still be saved. So he did not fire, but took a pair of scissors and began to cut open the stomach of the sleeping wolf. When he made 2 snips, he saw little Red Cap shining. Then he made 2 snips more, and the girl sprang out crying. "Ah, how frightened I've been! How dark it was inside the wolf!" And after that, the aged grandmother came out alive also, but scarcely able to breathe. Red Cap, however, quickly fetched great stones, with which they filled the wolf's body. And when he awoke, he wanted to run away, but the stones were so heavy that he fell down at once, and fell dead. Then all 3 were delighted. The hunter drew off the wolf's skin, and went home with it. The grandmother ate the cake and drank the wine, which Red Cap had brought, and revived. But Red Cap thought to herself, "As long as I live, I will never by myself leave the path, to run into the woods when my mother has forbidden me to do so." And it also related that once, when Red Cap was again taking the cakes to old grandmother, another wolf spoke to her, and tried to entice her from the path. Red Cap, however, was on her guard, and went straight forward on her way, and told her grandmother that she had met a wolf, and that he said good morning to her, but with such wicked look in his eyes, that if they had not been on a public road, she was certain she would have been eaten up. "Well," said the grandmother, "we will shut the door that he may not come in." Soon afterwards the wolf knocked and cried, "Open the door, grandmother, I'm Little Red Riding Hat. I'm fetching you some cakes." But they did not speak or open the door. So the graybeard stole twice, and thrice round the house, and at last jumped on the roof, intending to wait until Red Cap went home in the evening, and then to steal her after and devour her in the darkness. But the grandmother saw what was in his thoughts. In front of the house there was a great stone trough. So she said to the child, "Take the pail, Red Cap. I made some sausages yesterday, so carry the water in it which I boiled them to the trough." Red Cap carried until the great trough was quite full. Then the smell of sausages reached the wolf, and he sniffled and peeped down. And at last he stretched out his neck so far that he could no longer keep his footing, and began to slip. He slipped down from the roof, straight into the great trough, and drowned. But Red Cap joyously went home, and never did anything to harm anyone. The end. I hope you all enjoyed this reading, and perhaps I might read another story again. See you later.